We are building a bridge together. We are building a bridge together. Holding hands, walking side by side.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on TRP Live, a program created by the Reclamation Project to have candid discussions and showcase amazing stories that edify the Christian journey like today. Welcome. I'm your host, Lorna Bryant. Today we'll meet a former college administrator who, through faith and perseverance, changed her professional path and now runs her own e-commerce business. She's written a book to inspire others through the telling of her own journey. The Inspirational Business, the 9-step guide to build a business that makes a difference and creates a better life for your family. She's a certified advocate for domestic violence survivors. She also volunteers and produces events that empower and encourage women who have recently come out of abusive relationships. The Reclamation Project is thrilled to welcome someone who is self-made by the grace of God. Author, businesswoman, and health enthusiast, Avis Doctor. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Lorna. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, for sure.
Thank you for joining us. So let's just get started by, I'd like for you to expound on the brief snapshot of how I described you in the intro.
Well, I have worked in school business for a while. Actually, I was in high school, not college, but it's all school administration. I had done that for a number of years, 22 years, worked as an accountant in a school district, enjoyed that, but also wanted to do more in life. Have gone through some experiences in my life, as we all do, and wanted to just explore and find out just what I just had this greater purpose in life. And I wanted to start a business. I always have wanted to start a business, but never knew quite where to start. And then just had the opportunity to jump into that, and then had the opportunity to write a book about it.
So tell me a bit about that journey. What led you to where we are today? How your upbringing, your faith, and your family played a role in all of that?
Oh, well, we have to go way back for that. I believe that everything comes from childhood. Everything that people go through, it all starts in childhood. And I just was raised in a family, a Christian family, a godly family. My mother and father believed as in God, and for Him to be the center of our lives. Coming from the South, Louisiana, it was a different time and era then, for sure. And it's things probably haven't really changed that much, but we just have experienced things differently. And so I was a part of that era where, Jim Crow. I remember that. I was a young child then, but I do remember it. I remember going to a segregated school. I remember going to the theater, and we had to sit in the balcony because, we were colored then. I guess we're Black now, or African American, however you want to categorize yourself. And then from that, moved to California because our dad wanted a better life for us, for our family. They felt coming to California would do that. And so that was traumatic for me, actually. Being transplanted out of my environment as an 8-year-old, and then coming to a new place that was totally different. And I kind of talk about that a little bit in my book also, how that transformation of leaving some place that's very familiar to you, and then going to some place that's unfamiliar, and then having to make that your new home. And so from there, I was always a person who wanted to do more. My mom, people say, oh, she's smart, I guess, smart. But, sometimes we deny who we are because we want to be somebody else. Or we deny who we are because we feel like we don't belong. or there's a longing for something. So maybe I didn't always live up to my potential, but it was always in me to do that. And so eventually I went away to college, became an accountant, and I became an accountant because I just knew that accountants knew about business. And if I wanted to have a business, I needed to know the ins and outs, pretty much the money part of business. And from there, I just always aspired to do that. Didn't know where that would take me, didn't know how I would actually do that. Tried a few things, but it didn't really put my total heart into it. And then I worked as an administrator in school in my community, really wanted to help out in community. I believe in community. I believe that that's part of who we are. Families make up community. And so I worked for the Ravenswood School District for a number of years and then transferred to Mountain View. And then from there, just a journey in and out of my life, just doing different things, hoping to accomplish something greater. And then so I came upon an opportunity to start a business. I did that. And then the journey to writing the book was just all God inspired. I never inspired to be an author. It was never on my bucket list. It was nothing that I ever said, oh, I want to be an author one day. But coming out of meditation and prayer, God told me to write a book. And I'm like, okay, sure. Where am I going to write a book? What am I even writing a book about? I didn't even know what I was writing a book about. But he opened doors and led me to a place where I was mentored and coached into doing that.
Okay. So I want to backtrack just a little bit. We all have, when I grow up, I want to be when I'm an adult. When did you decide you wanted to be a business owner? Was it from childhood?
No. From childhood, I always wanted to sing and dance. And I sing, but I don't sing that great. I'm the background person. Yeah, but probably more after high school. That was the desire. And what I began to understand is that business is the way to go. Ownership is the way to go when you're looking at an economy. It's business owners who get tax breaks, and I'm always looking like I'm tired of giving the government all my money. But anyway, there's a philosophy behind that, why business owners get tax breaks and why churches get tax breaks. There's a philosophy that the government looks at that if you can take care of yourself, we'll give you a tax break. And so business was a way for me to look at building my own economy, helping my family, and then taking advantage of opportunities that are allowed us through the tax system.
So it sounds like part of your motivation is being safe and secure as well. Am I right?
Definitely. And just not for me, but for other people, for my family, to help people understand that you can accomplish much. You can do more than you think you can. But there are systems that help you accomplish that if you begin to understand how they work and what it really takes to start a business, what it takes to sustain a business. They say that 97% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, right?
Absolutely. I've heard that.
Yeah. But I just read also that 62% of people 20 and under want to start a business. And so I'm looking at, so how do we change that number from 97%? Why is that? And to help people understand that they don't have to be a part of the 97%. They can start to move that number, that 3%, and move it up so that they can survive. And many times it's just that people just don't know what's stopping them from doing the things that they really want.
Right. And we're at a unique time in history right now because there's a global pandemic that we're faced with right now. And with that, you see several businesses, and like you said, the percentage of businesses that fail within the first 5 years. Think of all of the businesses that have been around and are going through those growing pains, and now we have a global pandemic, and we see businesses failing. And through this pandemic, we also see businesses forming and creating out of this. What would you say to someone who is going through this pandemic right now and wanting to be a business owner?
I think it's a great time, actually. That's what I would say. Because your imagination, your thoughts, your creativity, these are times when to start thinking outside of the box. And so I look at people to say, be a solution seeker, be someone who's looking for solutions. There's always a solution to a problem. And that's what the economy really looks for. They pay people to solve problems. So be
Right.
a problem solver. So
Right.
this is a great time to be a problem solver.
Okay. So I have another question for you. During this journey where you've decided that you wanted to be a business owner, you've gone to school to become an accountant, where does family come in? You were forming a family at the same time?
Yes, I have a son. At the time I was forming a business or thinking about forming a business, those thoughts were always in my mind, right? So my son was like 6 or so when those thoughts were in my mind, but I hadn't done anything yet.
Mhm.
Just stayed with me. But family is really important to me. It's like number one up there, besides God. It's number one up there on my list because I come from a strong family background. Our parents taught us to love one another, to care for one another, and I'm very close with my sisters and brothers. There's 7 of us all together. We're all still alive and very close, and I love them dearly. So I think that business also is an opportunity to unify families, to create that wealth within your family, to begin to teach your children how businesses are run, how to do things, how to be responsible, what it really takes, money management, time management, discipline, solving problems. So I think that it all goes together. And I believe I have a chapter in my book called, Activate Family Involvement, because I think it brings unity within a family and brings a vision for the family together. So for someone to start to cast a vision for their family, that they can go through something together and build something together, I think it's awesome.
You know, as a woman, as a Black woman, as a Black woman from the South, we're not given the tools that our white counterparts are given. Having generational wealth, having family support when seeking to start a business. Do you ever speak to other women specifically, or do you speak to the Black community about these endeavors and encouragement to become self-sufficient, running your own business and the like?
I would love to talk to more of them. I talk to any woman who wants to better themselves and better their lives. There are tools, but I think that as older women, we have a responsibility to begin to teach our younger people and to listen also. So we learn by listening and they learn by listening. So there's a lot of listening that should go on. But I think that I really want to empower women, young and old, that one thing, that it's never too late. We always think that it's too late. It's never too late. It's never too late to start. And so what beats a failure is a try, to keep trying, right? And so I heard someone say that trying is just a noisy way of saying nothing. But I think you have to put your foot in the water. You have to have some faith. And it takes faith and patience, and I say focus and purpose.
Mm. So you spoke of empowering women. There's a part of you that empowers women through being a domestic violence. I hate using the word survivor, but someone who has been part of domestic violence and overcoming that as an advocate. Tell me a little bit about that background.
Well, I worked as an advocate and still do volunteer with Cora. As a matter of fact, I just had a conversation with them because everything is virtual now. It's a little bit tougher, but with my own experience with domestic violence, in particular, inter-partner violence, intimate partner violence.
Mm-hmm.
So from that, I saw I was in a bad situation for me. And so I needed to get out of that situation. And when I got out of that situation, I felt like I needed to help other women know that they could get out also.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, I began looking up, what does that really entail? And when I became the women's ministry leader at our church, that was something that I approached our pastor about, and then found out that we had a campaign going on called End It Now. And as a result of that, I connected with an agency in our community, which was Cora, Community Overcoming Relationship Abuse. And they actually talked me into doing the 40 hours of training because I wasn't really wanting to do it. I didn't think I had time to do it, but God opened the door. I was able to walk through it, and I was able to take the training. And as a result of the training, I began to volunteer through the educational side of their department there. And what we did is go into high schools, doing presentations on abusive relationships in San Mateo County.
Hmm.
So that is where I began to get that experience. And as a result of doing the 40 hours, I became an advocate, because that's what California requires someone who wants to be an advocate to take 40 hours of training. And those trainings go on all the time. They just completed one or doing one right now.
Okay. So it sounds like your total journey, your family, your education, your professional life, the experience with domestic violence, and then giving back and advocating and sharing with others, that all brings us to today and your journey in writing this book. So tell me about this book.
The book is the book is from God. It is. I like I said, I never aspired to be a writer, but the way the book came about, I didn't know that it would be this journey about my life, but the way it was written, it just happened to come out that way. And I believe that the book is just a place for me to just be vulnerable and let it out. Let out all the things that I was thinking and going through. But as a result, all those things are things that perhaps we go through when we're trying to build a business also. So you will have ups and downs, you will have trials, you'll have all these things happening to you. Like when I talked about I wanted to go home, I got lost. When I got here in California, and I was in the 3rd grade, I got lost and I couldn't find my way back home. I went down the wrong street, but then I figured it out. So in business, you'll have those kind of experiences also. And so the journey, I believe, is that God wants me to tell this message, to let people know that they don't have to be afraid to speak up. They don't have to be afraid to tell their story, because everybody's got one, right? Everybody's got a story. And I think what it does is it allows other people to understand that there's somebody out there just like me. There's somebody feeling the way that I feel. There's somebody who understands me. And so just building the business, I know that trying to build a business is it can be hard. But what I learned is that what we think, and the Bible says this also, so as a man thinketh, so is he. Our thoughts really drive our emotions and how we feel. Our emotions are just indicators of how we're feeling. And so when we start to think about how we do life, how we go about creating, we have to think about what we tell ourselves. And so if we tell ourselves that everything is hard, then everything becomes hard. So I decided that I wanted to have more fun in life. So I got the fun factor. And that came to me also through God. He just showed me that. And so having fun, having this thought process is that if I have to do something anyway, why not have fun at it?
Right.
So, yeah.
I really enjoyed that about the book. How well you start off from the very beginning. Your first chapter is decide to start to start. So frequently we get in our own way and we talk ourselves out of things, and we have to speak things into existence, into fruition. We need to speak life into it. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about right out of the box. Decide to start to start.
Right. We can be, it's like, I think John Maxwell said this, we're getting ready. It's get set, ready, go. Get set, ready. You're always getting ready to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, and then you never do anything.
Right.
So we're always a decision away from making a choice, right? We're always a decision away from what we're going to do. So you have to decide, good or bad, ugly, good, just make the decision and do it.
Right.
And learn from your failures. Failures are just there to help you. They're there to help you to succeed. They're the stepping stones to success. I truly believe that. So keep failing forward. That's what they say, right? Fall forward.
If we didn't have failure, we wouldn't have ice cream, right?
Right.
Ice cream was a mistake. It was a failure, but it's the best failure I know to date. So you spoke about having fun, and without giving away too much from the book, tell me what the fun factor stands for and what it means.
Well, the fun factor are the steps that it takes to go from understanding that you want to start a business to winning the day, to the end of your day. So the F in fun factor says first to find your why. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing. Is your dream big enough? Is your vision big enough? I talk about that in the book, between sight, dreams, and vision. The U is to understand what's out there. So you want to start a business. There are lots of different types of businesses, and there are different structures of businesses also. Then to network. It's all about who you know. And you do it every day. You've done it. And so knowing people who can help you, people who are further along than you, and people who have a servant's heart.
Mm.
The other F is for face your budget. A budget is foundational and fundamental.
Absolutely.
You have to know what's going on in your business financially. And I believe 42% of people fail in business because they don't know the finances. They don't have the finances. They don't have the finances to start their business. They go into debt, not knowing even where their revenue is coming from. So the A is for activate family, get your family involved, cast that vision. The C is for conquer your fears. So now we start to get into some inner work of what it really stops you from moving forward. And then the T is to tune into your vision, to have a vision for yourself every day that keeps you engaged with your overall vision. And I call that a vision message to yourself. And then the O is to open your heart. Open your heart for intuitive guidance, to be open to hear from within, to hear from God, to lead and guide you. And then the R is to reflect and revisit today. Always win the day. End your day on a positive note. You know, they say that we have 60,000 thoughts a day and 80% of them are negative.
Mm.
We want to defeat that, and we want to think positive at the end of the day, and that's called counting your wins. Go to bed on a positive note and have a record. You actually write it down, and keeping a record so you can look back and see how your day went. So therefore, what you are doing is beginning to rewire your brain.
Absolutely. You know, as you were saying that, a couple of thoughts came to my mind. Not only counting your wins, but counting your blessings.
Definitely.
And when you spoke of vision, my favorite scripture is from Habakkuk, where it says, "Write the vision plainly on the tablets, so that you may see it. And although it may tarry, it will surely come." I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, put it in front. Put that vision in front of you, and keep reminding yourself to work towards that vision. It sounds like your fun factor was heaven sent, definitely, or God sent.
I believe it was because I wrote it down before I ever started writing the book. As I was in prayer meditation, I came out and I just started writing some things. Now, this is really the cool part. My editor said to me, "Oh, didn't you want to talk about e-commerce?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe. I'm not quite sure." And because actually, I didn't want to write another chapter because another step would have been another chapter. And then I just said, "Well, sure, I'll write it." I didn't quite know what I was going to be writing about. But what happened is that when I added that extra chapter, now I had 9 letters. Before I only had 8. I only had 8 chapters. Now I had 9 chapters that actually describe the process to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I was writing the book, the fun factor just came in. I had written it like at the beginning. It was just a thought in my mind. I didn't know how it was going to work out. As a matter of fact, it actually wasn't even in my thoughts anymore about that. Then all of a sudden, I think I was writing that chapter. And then I'm like, oh, it's just like it came to me. And then so I was able then to make that acronym work.
Yeah, and it worked beautifully. Another thing I noticed in your book is each chapter begins with an inspirational quote. What shaped your decision-making process to pick the right quote for each chapter?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, did I hit on something here?
I was like, oh, I'm taking too much time. I would spend hours looking at quotes and like saying, okay, is this really catching or capturing what I want to say? And I would just look through thousands of quotes. I would actually Google something, like maybe I'd say inspiration, and I'd see all the quotes, and then I'd start reading, and it just happened. I just was able to find the quotes, and actually, the last quote of the last chapter, that was just really God. I found that at the last minute because I couldn't. I was trying to figure out what, and then I read that, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I want to say. What
You know,
Avis Doctor said.
I wrote that down because that quote spoke to me, and that quote is, "We are the ones we've been waiting for," and those are the words of Alice Walker. How do you inspire someone to accept that others are waiting for them to share their talents?
I inspire them because I think they need to listen. They need to listen to their heart, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
and come out of this place of fear that the world is against them. It may feel like it, and they may be, but you have to be willing to step out and be that hero. I talk about heroes in the book just a little bit. You have to be willing to be that hero. You have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in. And many of us, I think, we're not sure what we're willing to die for.
Mm.
So we have to be willing to be that example to inspire someone. And the only way I believe that I can inspire someone is by my own life, by being that example, but also being willing to talk about it. Many times we're just not willing to talk about our own hurts, the things that have happened to us, because I think that we believe that we will disgrace the people who have come before us in some way, and we don't want to. That's taboo, those types of things. But I think we have to be willing to stand up and decide that, what does it matter? Not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to like you. So tell your truth and inspire somebody else to tell theirs.
So, in writing this book and in your journey, are you being a hero for yourself or for others?
Oh, I think both.
Okay.
Definitely. I had to be my own hero first. I had to find the strength within myself. So I had to go within myself to decide that I wanted to just be on this journey. To write the book in itself was a journey. I wanted to back out of the book. I wanted to write this book. It took time, and it took a lot of self-reflection, but I had some great coaching through that. But I think first, as I go through the book, you have to begin to look at yourself, because you are the one that's stopping you. You are your greatest project. And us together, we can help each other overcome the things that we have gone through if we're willing to listen. I think that that's really the most important thing, is listening and helping people understand. I'm not here to solve people's problems, but I'm here to help them overcome them if they want to, because they can solve their problems, and we can help people understand how they can solve their problems.
Right. What I'm getting from that is get out of your own way, listen to your heart, and listen to him.
Right. Totally.
So we're going to move the cliches out of the way, because you say it more eloquently than using one of these cliches that I just used. So you, in your book, you talk about creating an inspirational business. What does that mean?
An inspirational business means that you are your greatest inspiration. You are your business. Your business is just an extension of yourself. It's an expression of you. So many times we try to compartmentalize our lives when we should be living a life that's holistic. Everything coming together, living through your values. So living an inspired life leads you to live in an inspired business and to inspire other people. So to inspire your family, to inspire your children, to inspire your community. People look at you and want to say, hey, I need to start a business too, because I want to have a better life for my family. So you are your own inspiration. And I think while you're inspiring yourself, you can inspire others.
Okay. I read something in the book about the 4 stages of competence.
Oh my goodness.
Explain that.
The 4 stages of competence.
Yeah.
That's the stage where we don't know what we don't know. And we're all there. We're all there. When I first heard that statement, we don't know where we don't know. We just don't know. And
Right.
so whenever we're trying to learn a new skill, we have to come to the place, well, I don't know it. And then you come to a place where then, oh, I need to learn this. And then you get to a place where you learn it, and then you start to master it. And then when you master it, because you've practiced it so much, then it becomes habitual. And so now you have that skill. And that's how all learning takes place. You start at a place of not knowing to the place where you gradually start to move to where you know, and now you've conquered that. And I use that in relation to also conquering your fears.
Okay. You also use the analogy of dating as it relates to the success of a business and kind of getting out of your own way. Explain the analogy that why you use that analogy of dating.
That is so funny you should ask that. That was totally from God, I tell you, because a word came to me that said that I think it was like, I'm not finished. We're not finished here. I think that's how that chapter starts. I'm like, we're not finished here. And I just heard that and I just wrote it. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to write this down. I have no idea where that's going. And then as I was writing the book and my editors were looking at it, they're like, okay, so what is that? What does that go? I'm like, I'm not sure. I just know that that is supposed to be in the book. And then from that statement, it just came to me that, oh, you're not finished here. You thought you were finished, but I got some other things for you to understand. And that is where I began to share this concept of dating, like with your business, to begin to know yourself. It's like going on a first date. And then many times what will happen is that you take your experience from dating, and if you look at it from a business perspective, you can start to sabotage yourself by thinking, oh, I've been there before. I don't want to go there again. But you start to put limits on yourself because you start comparing what happened in the past instead of learning from those lessons and moving forward with it. So with a new date, you're always wondering, okay, what is it going to be like? Who is this? How is it? How am I going to react to a certain situation? The same thing in business. You're going to be like, okay, what kind of business am I going to start? Who am I going to talk to? What is this? What is this all about? And so that analogy of dating was really fun, actually, to put that together and to show, well, okay, the first date wasn't so bad, so I think I'll go back. Oh, the second date wasn't so bad. Okay, I think I'll try it again. But then even in all of that process, you start to have doubts, like, oh, stuff that nobody knows is happening but you starts to surface again. And that'll happen in your business also. You'll start to like have situations happen and then you'll want to quit or you'll want to stop. And so I just thought it was a fun way that God showed me to explain to people, like, this is a cool way to look at building a business and getting through difficult situations.
Right. And in relationships, we can self-sabotage, we can bring excess baggage. And if we clear all of that out, as in dating and relationships, I guess the same thing would apply into having the faith, not sabotaging yourself, and having a successful business, especially if you're talking about building with family and growth. I get it. It all comes together now. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, when you're looking at relationships, that's huge. And this is one thing that I remember from accounting is that if you're going into a partnership, and marriage is a partnership, friendships are partnerships, you had better have some real trust with that person
Mm,
because now you're joined together. And that is the type of business when you're in partnership, you have to make sure that who you're going into partnership with, you trust and you have a good agreement.
absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me about this book and where we can find it. Is it out on shelves yet? Is it available through Amazon? Where can we find it?
It's available on Amazon. It is a ebook right now. It's launching on August the 13th, as a matter of fact. You can go out there and pre-order it right now, if you'd like. And the hard copy is coming out in September.
Okay. Now, are you big on social media in terms of people being able to follow you? Do you have an Instagram page? Do you have a Facebook account where you sometimes perhaps give us these little tidbits of wisdom?
I have a Facebook account and my email. People can always hit me up there. I do have an Instagram account also, but not active in the inspirational business, the TIB, the inspirational business. I haven't actually developed all of that yet, but I do have an Instagram account, Avis Doctor. So you can find me there also.
Okay. We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you, what is your next chapter? What is next for you? What's your next chapter in life?
Well, that's a huge question.
Well, we have a little bit of time.
Right now, I am concentrating on continually building my business, my e-commerce business, and helping women, helping people who want to go on this journey and explore their own inspirational business, what it really takes. I really want to help young people, and also that domestic violence area. I still am involved with that, and I look at that being an area where I really want to dive more into, and I want to go to the beach.
And we can have our physical beach, and because we are sheltering in place, I guess we can have a beach in our mind.
Yeah.
There's that opportunity as well.
But I see the opportunity to speak to people and to speak into their lives and to help them understand that we have greater capacity than we think. There's nothing impossible. And my motto is that I can do anything that I put my mind to do.
Hmm. And I think of a scripture: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So, so in closing, what little inspirational quote of your own would you give to us here right now, before we start this journey ourselves?
This is what I say. This is a quote that I quote in my book also, is that many times we think that people take advantage of us when we're giving, but I tell people to look at it as an opportunity to give advantage to others. So giving is a great gift. And that's what I would leave with people. Give, and it shall be given to you, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Avis, it has been a pleasure getting to know you, and learning more about the book. Give us the title of the book before we go.
The Inspirational Business, the 9-step guide to build a business that makes a difference and creates a better life for your family.
Avis, thank you so much. And we are very grateful for you sharing your story with us this evening. And thank you for joining us tonight. And we hope that you tune in again next week for another broadcast of TRP Live, when we will chat with Kimmy and Maurice of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Don't forget, share, like, and subscribe to stay in the know about upcoming broadcasts and events. I'm Lorna Bryant. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Be well.